Welcome everyone to the second diary episode of An Indie Author's Journey with your host Riley Morrison, and this is the show where I go into detail on my week's progress on my author journey and what I've been up to and what I plan to do in the future, and hopefully what you can learn from my experience. As I forgot to mention it last time, I should briefly introduce myself and my books. I'm a fantasy, steampunk and post-apocalyptic writer, and I branched out into litRPG, and I have two litRPG books out there. My epic fantasy books start with the book Heir to a Lost Son, and my litRPG books start with the book Vesaria Online Exile. Both of them, but most especially the Lost Son books, have a bit of steampunk in them as well, and they're both sort of post-apocalyptic, and they're all set in the same universe. So the books are across a few different genres and share some of the same characters, just in a small way though. Eventually both worlds in the two different books will come together as one. Now, I started publishing in November 15th last year, so I haven't been doing it too long, but I have been writing seriously since June 2014, though I'd obviously, like most writers, wrote stuff long before I became too serious about it. Most of that stuff is just sitting in a drawer somewhere forgotten about, or has been thrown out. The first story I remember actually writing was back when I was in year 3, when I was probably 7 years old, and I really loved it. And I always loved creative writing at school. It's just we never really did it, so most people weren't good at creative writing. Well, I could just sit there, give me a topic, and bang, I could write a story about it. So I've always loved writing, and I always imagined myself becoming a writer one day, and it's a damn cool experience to be living the writer life now. Though obviously, like most indie writers who thought about it years ago, just imagine that you'd try to get a traditional publisher. So I'm so glad that indie publishing has come along, because it's allowed so many people like me to live their dream of becoming an author. Now, to start going into the diary for this week, I first want to say that I might have 2 podcast interviews coming up where other authors are going to interview me about different things. I'm hoping one will be filmed next weekend, so late June, and I'll keep everyone informed when they go up. I need to discuss when we're going to hold the other one, so I won't mention anything about either of them yet, just in case they don't go ahead. This last week I've been really busy with family here, although they've left now, and I hopefully can get back on track, because it's been a very hard, long week, and I've got the cold at the moment, hasn't exactly helped. Being busy, I didn't get anywhere near as much done as I'd wanted. I had planned to keep writing the litRPG book, but it's kind of stalled at the moment. I'm pretty much in the middle of the book, so they're really hard chapters to write. And with all the low motivation because of all the drama I had with Amazon with this series, it's been really hard to get back into it, which is sad because I love the characters in the world and I really want to finish that damn book. But I think just being busy on top of it with family here and my day job and my son and it's just been very difficult. But I have been working on Heir to a Lost Son, and it's been doing okay. I've been trying to edit that book down because I want to break it in 2 and make it more like my later books. So a lot of that's been just reducing word counts and changing some details here and there, and a few times I've had to change the point of views for chapters, or just parts of chapters. Because when I wrote that book, I was inspired by 90s epic fantasy, long chapters, epic storylines, and world-building type stuff. So my later books are a lot shorter, and the chapters are shorter, because Heir to a Lost Son, I think the longest chapter is nearly 7,000 words, but probably the average chapter length is 4,500 roughly. So there's some really, really long chapters in there. And some of the opening chapters are really long too, so I've focused hard on trying to reduce the word counts for them. And I'm trying to reduce the word counts for the rest, and where I can't, I just break it up into point of view change if I can, because the book is split between 2 main characters, Eamon and Kara, their names are. So I'm trying my best not to mess around too much with things, but I'm trying to overall just shorten the chapters. I'm hoping this will draw more people into the world, and by splitting it in 2, not only do I shorten the book's overall length, but I also get to explore other things that I didn't in the first iteration of it. Some detail, like, I've had to gloss over a few things in the main book because it was just way too long. I mean, it ended up as 140,000 words long, so it was already a damn long book. But at least now I can explore things better, as well as have 2 books out there for a book launch, which the more books the better, I suppose, in a series. So I am planning to relaunch the Lost Sun series. I really want to, as I've written the draft for what would have been book 3, but what will be book 4 now. I've already written the first draft, or at least 90% of it. I do need to change some stuff. I'm hoping to release the books in quick succession, so I'll hold off releasing any of them until the first 4 books are done. So then I can release book 1, 2, 3, and 4, maybe 5 days apart or a week, or I'll have to research that. Some people do it all on the same day even, or within a week, so I can actually see the benefits of doing that, or releasing maybe 2 in the first week and then 2 in the second week or something. That way all the promos I run on book 1, people can buy more than 1 book, as I can put book 1 up at say 99 cents for all the promos, and then book 2 will be say $3.99 or something. And then if I have book 3 and 4 on pre-order, then yeah, I have the potential to make a fair bit more money out of the book launch, rather than just having 1 book up there and a month later the second book comes out and hoping some people go and buy it. I'm not sure if I'm going to change the name of the series to make it more fantasy sounding. I mean, I like Heir to a Lost Son, Dawn of a Lost Son, like the Lost Son branding, and I think it works. It's just, I want to make sure it fits, like people know just by the name that it's possibly epic fantasy or whatever. I might even change the tagline. At the moment the tagline is a Caverns of Stelemmia novel, but maybe I need to change that to an epic fantasy adventure or something boring like that. But again, I'm going to have to do more research into that type of stuff. It'd be sad to have to change the names of the book because I love the names, but also the cover designer I used for Heir to a Lost Son and Dawn of a Lost Son now has last time I checked, I think it was a 14-month waiting list, so I'm not sure how long it'll be before she could even edit the covers at all. And speaking of which, if she would be able to, I might have edited Heir to a Lost Son's cover a bit and made the man look a bit more warrior-like, rather than as a sort of pasty nerd type he's got a sword in his hand, but yeah, he doesn't look like he knows how to use it. Which really fits that character, Eamon his name is, as he's a banker and he learns to be a warrior and all that sort of stuff, but at the start of the book, and through most of Heir to a Lost Son, he's really struggling to come to grips with everything, so he doesn't look natural holding a sword, let's put it that way. And also with the Lost Sun books, Fall of the Lost Sun is finally been made free everywhere, except maybe India, on Amazon. Fall of the Lost Sun is the prequel book that was originally written as my reader magnet. It is free everywhere, on Kobo and Smashwords and everywhere else. I have run a few one promo on it on Kobo, and another one should be starting soon. And I've had hundreds of downloads of it on Kobo. But that hundreds of downloads has only led to 1 sale and 1 possible newsletter subscriber. Someone signed up to my newsletter, which is pretty disappointing overall. It also got no reviews. A friend's book, he had about 5 or 6 sales. Out of about 500 free downloads, I've had a bit over 300 now, and he ended up with, I think, 12 reviews on Kobo out of it. I imagine that probably says that Fall of a Lost Sun is I think it's an okay book. I don't think it's the best I've ever written, but maybe it's just confusing. Originally, Fall of a Lost Sun was my reader magnet book, and it was really aimed at people that had read the main books and enjoyed them, and wanted to know the backstory and how things led to the first book, basically. But being that it's now just a standalone book to draw people into the series, it doesn't exactly explain everything in the world overly much, so it's possible that a new reader who doesn't know the world would read it and be kind of confused. I mean, being an epic fantasy, there's a lot of factions and dynamics and world building and stuff that isn't really discussed in much detail in Fall of a Lost Sun. Maybe I should revisit it and maybe expand on things a bit, I'm not sure. Otherwise, another option is giving away another book for free instead. I am giving another book in the Lost Sun world away for free, which is my new reader magnet book, Ruins of a Lost Sun. It's a sort of steampunk comedy adventure. In a lot of ways, it doesn't exactly represent the main series, as the main series a lot more serious and a bit dark, I suppose, but not too dark. But yeah, Ruins of a Lost Sun is just like an adventure, something like an Indiana Jones almost, I guess you would put it that way. So the other option is I have a new shorter book I wrote called Rage of a Lost Sun that I launched this last week. But the problem with that is that's kind of more dark fantasy. It's sort of I won't say a war book, but there's quite a bit of fighting. It's about a Melody who's a captain of a regiment in the army. So again, I wouldn't exactly say that it represents the main books. The main one it does represent the main books is Fall to a Lost Sun. So yeah, I have to think about what I need to do here because the conversion rates to sales or newsletter subscribers or even reviews is just way too low. Though that said, I don't know what the standard is. It's possible that my friend's book was just really good and he definitely has an excellent cover. He did spend about $500 on his cover while I spent $45 or so on my cover, so big difference there. I have more Kobo promos coming up. Some of them on my main books and some of them for free books for Fall of a Lost Sun. I am in at least one of them, maybe two, because they messed up with my first Kobo promo and didn't put my book in until like the third day of the promotion it was meant to be running. So supposedly on the 25th of June they'll be putting my book in the free promotion again. So I'm hoping they do that and I don't have to chase them up. So yeah, I've got 2 Kobo promos coming up and hopefully more. I did apply for a whole bunch of them and I think they'll definitely help once my books actually get some reviews and have a bit of footing there rather than just I've put them up and nothing's sold. As to the other wide platforms, I've had a few free downloads here and there. I did have one sale of my box set on Barnes and Noble, and that's about it. Ruins of a Lost Sun 3 or 4 months ago when it was for sale wide actually sold 1 copy on Apple. So overall I haven't really sold much wide yet. Most of my action's still been in Amazon even though I'm not in KU. But that said, there's no ads running on all the wide stores yet. It's possible I might need to branch out into Facebook ads or something, which I don't really want to have to do for various reasons. And my AMS ads aren't doing overly well anymore. It's been really hard to keep my book even selling 1 or 2 copies a day on Amazon. I am going to try to optimize my keywords for AMS ads for both my Lost Sun books and Vasari Online. I'm going to try to turn my AMS ads around this coming week because as is, they're barely breaking even or they're in loss basically. So, and yeah, overall I'm only selling 1 or 2, maybe 3 copies on a good day of my books, and that's not just the Amazon.com store. I'm also running AMS ads on the UK store as well. So at the moment my profits for the series are stagnant or slightly losing $1 or 2 each day, so I definitely need to turn that around. And if I can't turn it around, I'll probably just pause all ads and wait till I get paid out for it because I'm going to be getting a decent amount from the Vasari Online books. I don't want to lose that profit. I want to make sure it stays in profit. I don't want to just break even on it. And it's depressing that it's only just going to make a small profit considering how well it was doing before I pulled out of KU because of all the page read scammy stuff. So hopefully I can turn things around and hopefully when I get book 3 out of the litRPG it sort of picks up again. As to Rage of a Lost Sun, it's released and it's sold 5 or 6 copies, so it hasn't sold overly well. But then it's a short book, it's like 79 pages or something, Amazon says. And I haven't really promoted it. I did run some AMS ads and then I just paused them because I figured not 2 or 3 clicks and it's cost me more than I'm going to make off a sale anyway, so there's not even much I can do there. I figured it wouldn't sell very well anyway, and I mean I invested about $130 or so into that book. So it's kind of upsetting that it probably will never make that money back, but I mean that's a problem with writing short fiction. T.S. Paul writes short fiction, but he releases, a lot of short books in a month, maybe 3 short books in a month. Well, mine is just a short book in between the big books, so I can't say writing short books in between big books has really helped me in any way. That said, I have options to run promos or give them away for free or whatever and stuff like that, so that's always handy, because I have a reader magnet for free and I have another book for free that will hopefully would lead people into the series, but clearly hasn't. So I don't feel as bad giving away a short book as I would a full 100,000 word book sort of thing. Other than that, Fall of a Lost Sun is in book funnel promos as well, so I've got to share that with all my social media. So hopefully I'll get newsletter subscribers, or at least people buying the main series from that. It's obviously got all the links to the Universal book links, and that'll send you to anywhere, any of the stores to buy the main books from. So they're all in the back of the Fall of a Lost Sun book, as is an offer to join my mailing list. I didn't put the mailing list offer in the front of Fall of a Lost Sun for the book funnel promos, because I figure someone's just got to see, oh yay, there's a second free book, I'm going to join up and sign that. So I only wanted people to sign up who had read the entire book, so I've only put the offer for the newsletter and the free book in the back of the book. That's just a small tip for people doing what I'm doing here, because yeah, you get a lot of frivolous people joining your mailing list who only want a free book. I have learnt that by using InstaFreebie and all those sorts of places, so live and learn, I suppose. Anyway, this next week is probably going to be pretty busy, as usual, with my day job, my son, my family, all that type of stuff, so hopefully I can get more done on both the litRPG and Heir to a Lost Sun. Well, thanks for listening, everyone.